The summer I turned 18, my life took a turn I never expected. My twin sister, Emily, had always been the outgoing one, while I, Ethan, preferred staying home, gaming, or reading. But everything changed when Emily decided I needed to step out of my comfort zone, and that meant becoming her project. It all started innocently enough. Emily and I had always been close, the kind of siblings who finished each other's sentences and shared secrets late into the night. That year, our parents went abroad for work, leaving us to spend the summer at home. Emily, bored with her usual activities, declared that she was going to give me a makeover. "I'm serious, Ethan," she said one afternoon, flipping through a magazine. "You've got such a symmetrical face, and your features are softer than most guys. You'd be stunning if you'd just let me work my magic." "Stunning?" I laughed. "I don't think stunning is something I'm aiming for." Emily wasn't one to take no for an answer. A week later, after much cajoling, I found myself sitting in her room surrounded by an arsenal of makeup, wigs, and clothes she'd borrowed from her friends. I thought it would be a one-time thing, a bit of fun to humor her. But when Emily was done, I didn't recognize the person staring back at me in the mirror. "Whoa," I muttered, blinking at the reflection. My short, brown hair had been tucked under a sleek, shoulder-length wig, and my face was framed by expertly applied makeup. My usually plain features looked striking, almost feminine. Emily had even managed to contour my jawline to make it appear softer. "You're gorgeous," she squealed. "No one would ever guess you're my brother. You look like my sister. What should we call you?" "How about Elena?" "Elena?" I raised an eyebrow, but couldn't help smirking. "You've been waiting to say that, haven't you?" "Maybe," she said with a wink. That was supposed to be the end of it, but Emily had other plans. She insisted we take photos and post them on her social media.
"Just for fun," she said.
I reluctantly agreed, assuming no one would care. But the photos blew up. Comments flooded in, full of admiration for Emily's beautiful sister. A few days later, Emily had another idea. Elena should go outside. "No way," I protested. "What if someone recognizes me?" "Relax," she said. "No one will. And besides, the neighbors hardly know us. We've only been here for a year, and you barely leave the house." Despite my reservations, Emily's enthusiasm was contagious. Before I knew it, I was standing in front of our house in a sundress and sandals, my heart pounding. Emily had done her magic again, making me look effortlessly feminine. I glanced down the street, hoping no one would notice me, but it was too late. Mrs. Peterson, the sweet old lady from next door, waved cheerily. "Hello, girls," she called out, smiling. Emily waved back. "Hi, Mrs. Petersons." I tried to keep my cool, nodding politely as she approached. My mind raced. Did she recognize me? Did she suspect anything? "It's so nice to see you both out enjoying the sunshine," Mrs. Peterson said. She turned to me, her eyes twinkling. "You must be Emily's sister. What's your name, dear?" "Elena," I said, my voice faltering slightly. I cleared my throat and tried again, this time pitching my voice higher. "Elena. Well, it's lovely to meet you, Elena," Mrs. Peterson said warmly. "I've always thought Emily needed a sister to keep her company." I forced a smile, acutely aware of Emily's barely contained laughter beside me. From that moment on, things spiraled. Emily thought it was hilarious that our neighbor believed I was her sister, and she saw it as an opportunity for more mischief. She convinced me to keep up the act, at least for a little while. "What's the harm?" she argued. "Mrs. Peterson is thrilled to have another young lady around." Over the next few weeks, Emily and I became regular fixtures in the neighborhood. We went for walks, attended small gatherings, and even joined a local book club, all as Emily and Elena. Surprisingly, no one seemed to suspect a thing. In fact, they adored Elena. The first time I truly realized how convincing I was came during one of those book club meetings. I'd been sitting quietly, sipping tea and listening to the others discuss their latest read, when a young man named Daniel struck up a conversation with me. "So, Elena," he said, his blue eyes warm and curious, "what do you think of the book?" I scrambled to come up with an answer, trying to remember anything about the story. "Oh, it's interesting," I said lamely. The characters are really well written. Daniel chuckled. That's true. I especially liked how the protagonist grew throughout the story. It felt so real. I nodded, grateful for his input. He smiled, and for a moment, I forgot who I was supposed to be. Emily, of course, noticed everything. Daniel totally likes you, she teased later that evening. He couldn't stop staring at you. Very funny, I said, rolling my eyes. But deep down, I couldn't shake the strange mix of emotions I felt. The attention was flattering, even if it was directed at someone I wasn't. As summer wore on, the line between Ethan and Elena blurred. I started to enjoy the freedom of stepping into a different persona. Elena was confident, poised, and outgoing, everything I wasn't. People treated me differently, too, with a warmth and openness that felt new.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing.
One evening, while Emily and I were chatting in the front yard, our neighbor Liam approached us. He was a tall, athletic guy in his early 20s who lived a few houses down. He'd always been friendly with Emily, but now his attention was squarely on me. Hey, Elena, he said, his grin lopsided. You're new around here, right? How come we haven't met before? I froze, unsure how to respond. Emily jumped in. Oh, Elena was away at school, she said smoothly. She's staying with me for the summer. That's cool, Liam said, his gaze lingering on me. Maybe we could hang out sometime? I could show you around. Emily nudged me playfully, but I was too flustered to respond. Sure, I mumbled, avoiding his eyes. As Liam walked away, Emily burst into laughter. You're a heartbreaker, Elena. This is getting out of hand, I muttered. But no matter how much I protested, the charade continued. Emily was having too much fun, and a part of me couldn't deny that I was, too. Being Elena was like stepping into a different world, one where I wasn't just Ethan, the awkward, introverted guy. I was someone else entirely, someone people wanted to know. The turning point came one evening at a neighborhood barbecue. Emily and I had spent hours getting ready, and I was dressed in a flowy maxi dress that left me feeling both elegant and exposed. As we mingled with the crowd, I noticed Daniel and Liam watching me from opposite corners of the yard. It was Daniel who approached first. Hey, he said, his voice soft. You look beautiful tonight. Thanks, I said, my cheeks flushing. I was wondering, would you like to grab a coffee sometime? Just the two of us. Before I could respond, Liam appeared at my side. Not interrupting, am I? He asked, his tone light but possessive. He glanced at Daniel, then back at me. I was just about to ask Elena to dance. The tension between them was palpable. Emily, watching from a distance, looked like she was about to burst from laughter. I, on the other hand, wanted to disappear. I think I need some air, I said quickly, slipping away before either of them could protest. That night, as Emily and I walked home, I told her I couldn't keep pretending.
This has gone too far, I said.
I'm messing with people's feelings. Emily sobered, nodding. You're right. I didn't think it would get this complicated. The next day, I decided to tell the truth, at least to Daniel and Liam. Their reactions surprised me. Daniel was understanding, if a bit embarrassed, while Liam laughed and said, I knew something was up. You were too perfect to be real. In the end, the summer of Elena taught me more than I ever expected. It wasn't just about fooling the neighbors or playing dress up. It was about discovering parts of myself I didn't know existed, about confidence, connection, and the power of stepping outside my comfort zone. Even after I put Elena to rest, a part of her stayed with me. And though the neighbors might have thought we were two sisters that summer, the truth was far more complicated and far more beautiful. In the days following my decision to reveal the truth to Daniel and Liam, I began to feel a mix of relief and regret. On the one hand, I no longer had to carry the weight of pretending to be someone I wasn't. On the other, I realized just how much I had enjoyed being Elena. It wasn't just the attention or the compliments, it was the feeling of freedom, of stepping into a role where I could reinvent myself without the baggage of being Ethan. Emily, of course, was uncharacteristically reflective after everything unraveled. You know, she said one afternoon while painting her nails, I never thought you'd actually like being Elena. I mean, I just wanted to have some fun, but I didn't expect you to, well, embrace it. I didn't expect it either, I admitted. It started as a joke, but then, I don't know. It felt good, being someone else for a while. Emily nodded thoughtfully. Maybe it wasn't about being someone else. Maybe it was about finding a part of yourself you didn't know was there.
Her words stuck with me. Was that it?
Had Elena been a way for me to explore a side of myself that I had always kept hidden, even from me? Life in the neighborhood returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after the whirlwind summer of Elena. I tried to avoid awkward encounters with Mrs. Peterson and other neighbors who still thought of me as Emily's sister. Emily suggested we gradually phase Elena out, claiming she had returned to school. It was a convenient excuse, but it didn't stop the occasional inquiry. One afternoon, while I was taking out the trash, Mrs. Peterson called me over. My heart sank as I walked to her porch, unsure of what to expect. "Ethan, dear," she began, her tone warm. "I just wanted to say how lovely it was having your sister around this summer. She brought such a light to the neighborhood." I swallowed hard, feeling the familiar twinge of guilt. "Thanks, Mrs. Peterson. She, really enjoyed being here." Mrs. Peterson's eyes twinkled, and for a moment, I thought she was about to say something else. Instead, she patted my hand and said, "Well, you must tell her she's always welcome back." As I walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that Mrs. Peterson knew more than she was letting on. But if she did, she never said a word. The strangest part of the whole experience was how much it changed my relationship with myself. Before Elena, I had always been shy and introverted, content to stay in the background. But after spending weeks as someone who commanded attention and admiration, I found myself craving that sense of confidence in my everyday life. Emily noticed the change, too. "You're different now," she said one evening as we sat on the couch binge-watching our favorite show. "You're more, I don't know, sure of yourself." "Maybe," I said, shrugging. "I guess being Elena showed me that I don't have to hide all the time." Emily smiled. "Well, for what it's worth, I think Elena would be proud of you." We both laughed, but her words meant more to me than I let on. Just when I thought the summer of Elena was behind me, an unexpected visitor brought it all rushing back. It was a crisp autumn afternoon, and I was sitting in the backyard, enjoying the rare quiet. Emily had gone out with friends, and I was savoring the solitude. That's when Daniel appeared at the fence. "Hey," he called, his voice hesitant. I looked up, startled. "Oh, hey, Daniel. What's up?" He shifted awkwardly, his hands in his pockets. I was just passing by and thought I'd say hi. Haven't seen you in a while." "Yeah," I said, trying to keep my tone casual. "Things have been busy." Daniel nodded, but he didn't leave. Instead, he leaned against the fence, his expression thoughtful. "Can I ask you some things?" "Sure," I said, though my stomach clenched at the thought of what he might say. "When you told me the truth about Elena," he began, "it kind of threw me. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it didn't really matter. I mean, I liked you as Elena, but I think I liked you because of who you are, not because of how you looked." I stared at him, unsure how to respond. His words were unexpected, and they struck a chord I wasn't prepared for. "Thanks," I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper. "That means a lot." Daniel smiled, his usual warmth returning. "Anyway, I just wanted you to know that. And if you ever want to hang out, you know where to find me." As he walked away, I sat there, my mind racing. Daniel's acceptance was a reminder that maybe, just maybe, the summer of Elena hadn't been as complicated as I'd thought. Maybe it had been a journey worth taking. By the time winter rolled around, life had settled into a new rhythm. Emily and I often joked about the summer of Elena, but there was an unspoken understanding between us that it had been more than just a game. It had been a transformative experience for both of us, one that brought us closer together and helped us see each other and ourselves in a new light. For me, the summer of Elena was a chapter one would never forget. It taught me about courage, self-discovery, and the power of stepping outside my comfort zone. And while Elena might have been a temporary persona, the lessons she taught me were anything but temporary. Even now, as I look back on that summer, I can't help but smile. It was a time of growth, of laughter, and of unexpected connections. And though the neighbors might have thought we were girls, the truth was far more complex. and far more beautiful. Because in the end, it wasn't just about pretending to be someone else. It was about discovering who I truly was, and for that, I will always be grateful. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.